Welcome back to Edge Work, presented by FanDuel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by So Money Sports, and no producer behind the scenes for us today, as someone is tied up and something came up. I had to ad-lib on the fly here and start this show. I apologize for the late start. Might be a little bit difficult to pull the screen up in real time. I'm still actually not even sure how to do that on StreamYard without sharing my entire screen. And sharing my entire screen is not something I am exactly keen on doing right now either. But nonetheless, we are a full go here. We will never miss a show for anything if we can avoid it. So here we are, especially after last night. I mean, come on, a 2-0 night. We got the Oilers win. We got the Caps win. So Money, talk to me about. Let's start with the Washington game. We expected that adjustment to be made. We expected a response from them after that miserable game one. We got the response and everything. Tom Wilson was running around like crazy. The team played much, much better defensively. Like just how Carberry adjusted, and they were able to kind of absorb the forecheck, move pucks out quickly and not get hemmed in too much. There were obviously some shifts where it was like some lengthy shifts where they got hemmed back. For the most part, they made the necessary adjustments. They responded accordingly, and we have a series again now in Washington.
Absolutely, and it's great when things work out the way that we are kind of envision, right? We talked about it yesterday that there was something tangible that Washington can do in this series, and Carberry touched on it before the game. We talked about it, right? It's like when when you're playing a blitz heavy team, right? Like how how do you counter a blitz, right? There's quick. You need to get your passes out quicker, right? And like that's what Washington was doing yesterday. D to D, get out. D to D, get out, right? And like it's really simple, and that's what you need to do. Yes, there were situations where I still saw them holding on to the puck a long time in their own in the defensive zone, and when you do that, you're giving Carolina space to come at you. And once they get space to come at you, they are going to hem you in your zone, right? So get it out quickly, right? So and that's the adjustment Washington made. Now, now Carolina back the um, from their perspective, they need to counteract that adjustment as well, right? Like maybe they need to not just throw everything on the net from everywhere, right? Like maybe they need to like have more sustained pressure, um, or they need to um, get on the forecheck a little quicker, right? So I mean, it's going to go back and forth in this series. Like both of these teams are very well coached. They and stylistically, both teams can make the adjustments against each other, and we're going to see it go back and forth. Um, I do think that in the end, Washington is better coached, and the way that Washington plays, um, the longer this series goes, I think that they will wear down Carolina, and I just don't see, or I don't think that how the way that Carolina plays is sustainable throughout a full 7 game series against a team that has big forwards like the Capitals do.
Uh, I want to run something by you here, So Money. As you were talking there, I was listening to every word, but I also learned how to present my screen here. So now we can bring up FanDuel here. I don't
Okay.
know if people can see that well,
Yeah.
but is there a better way? There we go. Maybe a little bit better. What do we think of Tom Wilson? 200-1 right now, Conn Smythe.
Absolutely.
It's the path is not like clear. He's not obviously like a massive point producer stuff, but like the effect he has on games, and as the games get tighter and as the games get tougher down the stretch, his impact is going to be felt more. He's, on the power play, he made a great play yesterday, set it up, he scored the empty net goal as well. Like his presence is being felt at both ends of the ice right now. 200-1 is a massive number. I don't know. It feels like this Caps team is just being written off. Like they have a clear path to the cup as well. Like it would not be
Yeah.
a shock whatsoever if this team made it to the cup final and potentially won it all, right? Like 200-1 on Tom Wilson. I mean, can we go ahead and lock that in as like an unofficial show best bet here?
Absolutely. It's and it's I think he has a path because he has the story, right? Like
Yeah.
he's got the built-in story now that he was the difference maker in that Montreal series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now basically whatever he does right now, it's just going to propel him further. Logan Thompson is the biggest threat to him, and obviously, all you need is one wide open series for Ovechkin to get going, and then he propels himself as well. But the thing is
Mhm.
that with Washington's path, Ovechkin's not necessarily gonna is going to have a series where it is going to be wide open for him, right? So whether if they get past Carolina, whether they play Toronto or Florida, that's going to be a tight series, and if they play Vegas or Dallas or Winnipeg, that's going to be a tighter series, right? So
Yeah.
he basically needs to his Ovechkin has a much narrow path because he needs a wide open series against the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final for him to possibly
Mhm.
win the Conn Smythe, right? So it does, and if Washington does beat Edmonton, it was probably because of Logan Thompson, right?
Yep.
So I think that Thompson is the clear front runner for that Washington team, and but at 200 to 1, I think the story is there for Tom Wilson as well.
Yeah. So okay, we'll lock that as like an unofficial show bet. Hopefully that hangs around enough for people to be able to get in on that throughout the course of the day. But yeah, I really do like that. We'll move on to the Oilers game here. That was another game where the Oilers give up the first goal, which doesn't seem to phase them whatsoever because they responded to that very well. Part of that was Aiden Hill, who really struggled in that second period. Calvin Pickard also made some very, very big saves when he needed to. We talked also about Tom Wilson 200 to 1. How about Calvin Pickard 220 to 1 right now, still on FanDuel? I know Ron, who's in the chat a lot, has talked about that. And that's still a big. It was bigger, but still a big number on a guy who looks to have taken over the starting reins. Unless they go on like a bit of a losing streak, I don't think it's going to take one game for him to lose his job. I think it'll take a few losses and some, you know. I mean, there's a path. I don't think he's going to win it, but there's a pathway there as the starting goalie for this team to potentially be there at what is such a big number still. Like it's worth a little bit of a bet here. But regardless, he makes some huge saves yesterday to keep them in the game when Vegas started really well. Vegas pushed, responded the way you kind of thought they would have to with their backs against the wall at home. Ultimately could not solve Pickard enough. Oilers come back. Hill lets in a couple weak ones. Oilers take the 3-1 lead. Don't hold on to it. They take the 3-1 lead, then it's 3-2, and then 4-2, and then obviously game goes into overtime. A missed call on Arvidsson there, a missed tripping call. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. That was a bad miss. Should have been a penalty. Do I think Vegas wins the game if they call that? Not necessarily. I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to score on that power play. It doesn't mean Edmonton's not going to score anyways. But obviously, like a big swing, a big miss, and Oilers take advantage of it, like great teams do. McDavid roasts Jack Eichel, just makes him look like embarrassing. Feeds it over to Draisaitl. They win the game, commanding 2-0 series lead. And don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but it feels like that it was a death blow to this Vegas team.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here. So I'm trying to think where I should start. So we talked about yesterday how we kind of contrasted what Washington can do and what Vegas can do, and we said that there's something Washington can do, and the only thing Vegas can do is maybe skate faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, when I was saying that Vegas needs to skate faster, I didn't mean that for Edmonton to stop skating altogether. And after they went up 2 goals in the third period, credit to Vegas. We knew they were going to respond, but the Oilers also they also got out of their game a little bit, right? And again, I'm not. It wasn't like a Hiller situation, but like you're up 4-2 in the third period. I mean, it's human nature. You're going to start sitting back a little bit, and that's what the Oilers did. But when it got tied 4-4 and they got back on 5-on-5, we saw the Oilers really step it up, and that's a gear that the Oilers have. That I mean, when you have two of the best players in the world, it's you can do that, right? So we saw the Oilers step it up 5-on-5 when they needed to. Pickard, I'm a little concerned about his injury. He fought through it, but if it is if it is a muscle thing, usually feel that the next day. So I'm curious how he's going to be today. Um, that would be the one thing I'd say about Pickard.
Mhm.
And then in terms of the missed calls, yeah, there was totally a missed call. But with Jack Eichel, you got to give him credit because from what I believe, McDavid I think had one shot 5-on-5 throughout that whole game, and that was Eichel's doing. He was right.
Yeah.
He was right with him the whole game. It's just that Eichel got put in a bad situation at the end there, where I mean he's a
Yes.
forward skating backwards with like McDavid flying
Still like a
flying at you.
slightly better effort than that. That was really
Yeah,
embarrassing. Like, that was
yeah, right.
really
So
bad.
yeah, so like I'm not gonna come down too hard on Eichel on there because like he was doing it the whole game, right? And like it was just a bad situation against a great player. So um and the other thing too, right? You have Vasily Podkolzin looking like Yari Curry out there now, right? And this team is getting production from throughout their lineup, and that was when we were headed into the series. That was the concern I had for Vegas, is that this is not the same team that they saw a couple of years ago. They have depth throughout their lineup. We're seeing Connor Brown, Podkolzin,
Yeah.
Kane is like on the higher end of the secondary scoring, but like now they're
That
getting
second
like
line of Kane, Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman has been
yeah,
unbelievable. That's been their
yeah,
best
yeah.
line, probably.
Yeah, you have the fourth line scoring or the second line scoring,
Yeah.
and like you're like not limiting, but you're like putting McDavid and Draisaitl in proper minutes so that you
Yeah, you
can,
don't need them to play 30 minutes a night, and they're going to be
yeah,
gassed by the time we get to the cup final, right?
totally right. So like this is it's all working great right now, and like the defense, right? They're they're adequate and they're doing their job, right? Yeah, the Oilers gave up 4 goals, right? And like that's something that is going to need to be cleaned up. But there was power plays there as well. So
And oh,
I
by the
think that
way, they
this
haven't had their best defenseman at all in the playoffs yet.
and they haven't scored on the power play either, right? Have they
Yeah.
not scored at all on the power play, or they haven't scored on the road in the power play?
They haven't scored on the road on the power play. I think they're like five for six at home, I think was the stat. Their power play on home ice has been unbelievable, which is why their overall power play numbers in the playoffs have been fine. It's just on the road they have yet to score the power play. They've been really bad.
And their penalty killing has sucked too, right? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's so I mean like it's all starting to come together. I'm not gonna say that it's done. I don't think Vegas is done. They're gonna respond in game three. But now we need to look at there's going to be possibly suspension there, as well as possibly McNabb's injury. So yeah, we'll have to look at those things as well. But it's looking good for the Oilers right now.
Yeah, for sure. Also a lot of pushback in the chat here about the Pickard Conn Smythe. I get it. It's very unlikely. There's probably like 3 or 4 guys that are, more likely to win the award on the team than he is. But like, there's a pathway as a starting goalie to make enough of a name for yourself, especially if they have enough secondary scoring right now. Like if Nugent, and look, this is my point. My point is that he's not necessarily likely to win the award, but like he's more likely than 220-1 suggests, which is all we're talking about here. If the Arvidsson, Podkolzin, Janmark line keeps scoring, if the Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, and Kane line keeps scoring, if they get some scoring from the blue line like they have, and it's not like McDavid and Draisaitl putting up 4 points each a game, and the scoring is actually very spread out, and they're not putting up these ungodly numbers, then and Pickard's having maybe a strong series in a lower scoring series, say they play the Canes or the Caps or something like that in the final, it ends up being tighter, whatever. There is a pathway to it. Obviously, it's unlikely, but 220-1 suggests it's extremely unlikely. And I think it's a little bit more likely than that. That's all I was saying there. Do we think a question from Connor here, which I do want to address too? Do we think that winning 6 straight in a row, 6 straight comeback victories, basically for the Oilers, will have an adverse effect on them later in the playoffs, or is that just how this team is built? I don't think it'll have an adverse effect. I don't think it's sustainable. I will say that, but I also don't think, just the way they're playing, I don't think it's likely that they're going to keep giving up the first goal or falling behind 1-0, 2-0 in every game. Also, like, I think that'll even itself out. If they do, it's great that they've shown an ability to consistently come from behind. But like, as the games get tighter, as we get later in the playoffs, that's obviously very difficult to keep doing. But I don't think they're going to keep giving up the first goal and falling behind like this. I think, the reason it happened last night, obviously the power play goal, and Vegas started really well because Vegas is at home and they're pushing, whatever. That Kings game, the game 5, they fell behind, but like they were dominant early on in that game. They deserved better early on. That stuff will even out. I don't think they're going to be behind 1-0, 2-0 every single night like they have been lately.
Yeah, I think it would have an adverse effect if they were trying, or like if they weren't focused at like the start of games and like they were getting behind early because of something that they're doing. So I think it's it's just the way it's working out. Like they're just like we see teams throughout the regular season as well go through stretches where like they haven't scored first in the last 10 games or something, right? Like it's just one of those stretches right now. And yeah, I don't think they're gonna get behind every game because I don't think it's by design. Like nobody is trying to get behind and give up the first goal in games. So I think I would expect that to turn around. I didn't like the way that they played with the lead yesterday, so maybe it is better for them to stay tied or be behind. But they're also not used to playing with the lead as well. So I think that going forward, we should see that starting to turn around where they're not getting behind early in games.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a lot of games to get to here because we have Friday and Saturday's games that we want to talk about today since there is no show tomorrow. So before we do, nothing hits like playoff hockey. The road to the cup starts on FanDuel, your home for live bets all playoffs long. With new features like live SGPs, build a parlay any game, any period, or stack multiple matchups onto one slip with same game parlay plus. And what's better than playoff hockey? Overtime playoff hockey. Get more from the game with live overtime markets. Right now, new customers can kick off the season with $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download FanDuel today and get more with North America's #1 sportsbook. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, or 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, 4 games. Let's do it. We will start with the game 3 in the Leafs and the Panthers series. They head down to Florida, Fort Lauderdale for the game 3 here. Panthers in a 2-0 hole, needing to win both home games, you feel like, to keep this series going. Tonight definitely has the feel of a must-win, and that is being priced in and then some. The Panthers minus 220 right now at home to the Leafs. Leafs plus 180, all the way out to minus 240 on another market maker right now, the Panthers. This is a wild line. We talked a little bit about this yesterday and hinted where we might be leaning here. So Money, my opinion has not changed. I think Florida wins this game. Do I think they win this game, this often as they would need to be laying this price? No, I do not. Massive number here. Are you joining me on the Leafs?
Yeah, I bet the Leafs. I don't care if the Leafs lose this game 8-0. I don't think it's. I think it's self-sabotage at this point if you're not betting the Leafs at this number, right? Like you have to get in on it. We know, like we see it, right? All of us see it that Florida is very inflated here. Any bump that they would have had down 0-2 coming back home, it is already accounted for here. We know that, we see that, right? So if we know that, if we see it, why would we be betting into something that we're paying a premium on knowingly, right? So I'm on the Leafs. Also, Florida doesn't look right. We know that they're going to respond, but Bobrovsky's struggling. He's not, and we've seen this. We've seen this throughout the course of of his career, where he could go through stretches like this. So this could possibly be one of those stretches. Kachuk looks hurt. Barkov looks hurt as well. They're not they don't have the same effectiveness as we're accustomed to. The only guy going right now is Brad Marchand, but he's not getting the minutes that he probably should be getting, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, and Charles's point there about Ekblad as well. Like, there's the team just looks off, right? And we're watching them play; they don't look right, and so there's that. And the other thing too is that we've touched on this last week. This week, the Leafs are not engaging in anything that they don't need to be, right?
Mhm.
And that's very important for them. They're getting the goaltending, strong team defensive play, and they're able to absorb Florida's best shot. So I think that as long as the Leafs stay within themselves in the first period here, I think they'll be okay throughout the course of the game. It's just a matter of, we know that Florida's going to come, we know that Florida's going to respond. The Leafs just have to make sure that they take Florida's best shot without losing their heads here.
Yeah. That's all it comes down to is price. This is just way too big of a number. I agree with some things that you said about Florida looking a little bit off and Bob looking off. We've seen Bob struggle, especially in the second rounds. I remember that was last year when I did most of my Bob investment. He was great in that Tampa series in the first round last year, and then second round against Boston, he wasn't particularly sharp at points. We were able to kind of grab some bigger numbers on him, and they obviously found their way back to the cup, and everything was good. But yeah, this 211 is crazy. I mean, even if like the big concern for Toronto right now is that regression might hit in terms of like scoring regression. Like they're shooting like 14% at 5-on-5, even higher in this series. They've scored like 6 low danger goals. It's not the most sustainable, obviously. Like they're basically scoring every time an opportunity presents itself, or close to every time. That is not sustainable. But like, even if regression starts to hit, this is still way too big of a number. That's like everything that you could be concerned about from the Leafs and everything that you could be optimistic about from a Panther standpoint is all priced in and then some here. We've just run to a point where like you're not going to see this price in any game, in any series in this in the rest of these playoffs, I don't think. Even like Carolina, Washington, where Carolina has all the market respect in the world. I mean, I don't think you're going to see a number this big. I think we're too deep in the playoffs to see a number this big here. It is very, Charles, actually, that's an interesting comment from Charles. Someone brought this up to me. Someone I respect quite a bit was mentioned this to me yesterday. This Leafs team feels very, very much like the Rangers of last year. Good team, great goaltending, solid defensively, and like just very, very opportunistic up front. That's kind of how they've been playing. And they do look, and their numbers and everything, they kind of profile very, very similarly to that Rangers team where we talked about, the Rangers PDO and how sustainable is this with, just riding Shesterkin and, the limited 5-on-5 scoring, the great special teams. Eventually if they fell short against Florida, but like they were right there in that series too, the Rangers in the conference finals. So yeah, they do feel very similar to that team to me as well here, but regardless, getting 211 here, anything over 200 is just insane, just truly insane. We were talking about this before as well. So Money, you've seen all these teams that are left, all these 8 teams. At some point, the market has hit these teams. We've seen a lot of market support for Florida. We've seen a lot of market support for Carolina. We've seen market support in the first round at times for Washington. We've seen it for everyone in the West. Like, it's like the Leafs are the only team that, even against Ottawa, it was like Ottawa kept taking money. Almost every game, it was like Ottawa that was taking money. Now in this series, it's like Florida keeps taking money. At what point does the market start to, I don't know, buy in? I don't know what the term I'm looking for. At what point do the Leafs start getting some support here?
When they're up 3-2 against the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final, and they lose the last 2 games, and the Oilers win in 7. That's when we'll see Toronto money coming in. No, it's
right.
It's the same core, and we've seen this before from the Leafs, right? So like not to this extent, but what people are looking for the Leafs, and like the people that I talk to, is that at some point this team is going to revert back to what they have been over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. And my argument to that has always been that this is not the same team as the last 4 or 5 years, right? I got to be careful there with stuff
Yeah, you do.
with stuff like that. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get smoked one day, but they have a different coach, right? Who has instilled a new system. They have a different coach who is able to um, who is better suited with the personality of his star players to kind of let them be and put them in a position to succeed without getting them bogged down on defensive assignments and like just creating a situation where these players cannot be as creative as they need to be. And the reason they're able to do that is because management brought in defensemen who are able to be adequate, who are able to work together and play within the system so that their offensive guys can have creativity up front, which is what has been missing from this team the last 4 years. So just just based on that, it is not the same team that we've seen, right? But it's difficult when you have the same players that you've brought in to think that anything different is going to happen, right? You still think that these are the same players essentially, so why would we expect a different result? And so I've always argued the other side that it's the same players but it's a different team.
So I'm going to push back slightly, and I'm not even pushing back. I'm more just playing devil's advocate because you've been talking up the Leafs quite a bit. So I figured might as well just like look at this from both sides. What percentage chance do you think, or how likely do you think it is that this team is in fact truly different versus they're just getting not even the breaks, but just the puck is finding a way in like it hasn't in years past. Whereas like if you look at like past playoffs and you look at their overall numbers, their 5-on-5 numbers, their chances, chance creation, their defensive numbers, they've had some really good defensive teams, not necessarily defensive personnel. They've had good defensive teams. They've had very good offensive teams. They have had some very strong metrics in previous playoffs where they've deserved better and have lost in game 7 or lost in the first round where like they have like a 55% expected goal share in the series, or they've taken it to teams and they've lost. This is their worst underlying metrics yet. They were not pretty against Ottawa. Obviously, the score effects come into play. They led for a lot of that series. They haven't been the most, attractive in this 2 games against Florida. How likely is it that it's actually different versus the puck's just going in right now? Whether Omar couldn't make some saves, but Bob couldn't make some saves, whatever it is, puck's just finding a way in. Eventually, maybe things revert and the numbers kind of catch up to them.
So I love this question, and the reason why I love this question is because it allows me to give a little bit of an insight into my mindset in just in general in life. Any successful person that that seems successful that you talk to, one of the first things I look for when they're speaking to me is that how much they value luck, right? Mm-hmm. Any person who I respect, who is highly successful, not in sports betting and like anything in life, one of the first things that they'll ever tell you is that I got lucky. Luck is everything in life, right? You can put yourself in positions to succeed, but if you don't have luck in your life, you will not succeed, right? That's the thing with the Leafs. So the way I answer your question is that it's both, and I think it can be both. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Yes, they haven't had luck in the past. They haven't. This team is not better than the team from 2 years ago that beat Tampa Bay in terms in terms of metrics. They're not better, but their mindset is better, right? They're willing to put themselves in positions where they could get lucky, and hopefully they do get lucky. Hopefully the puck bounces a certain way for us this time. And that's what it's about. That's what sports is about, right? Like once you get to this point, which with these 8 teams, like generally speaking, all things being equal, with full rosters, healthy rosters, nobody's blowing anybody out. It's just a matter of, for us, it's the pricing. For them on the ice, it's which way the puck is going to bounce, right? So it does come down to both. Yes, it is going in this time. Last year it wasn't. They are getting luckier this time. Last year they weren't, right? But they're in a better mindset in order to take advantage of these things and put themselves in a position where know if things don't go right for us, we're not going to make our problems worse by reacting to things that we shouldn't be reacting to, and just controlling what we can control. And that comes from the personality of the coach. He's very much like that, and that has filtered down throughout their lineup, right? So I think both of those things can be true.
And then how sustainable is it at the same time? So I agree with what you're saying, and I think it's a fascinating kind of discourse, and something that is sort of often slept on and not discussed enough, where people can just blindly look at the numbers and bet off that. But there is more that goes into it, especially in the playoffs. This is not regular season hockey we're talking about. This is like, there's a lot more that goes into this here. So you can't just blindly look at the numbers and like, well, the Leafs are getting largely caved at 5-on-5 and they're not, generating opportunities. There's one way to look at it and be like, yeah, that is the case. And you know what? Eventually their luck might run out, and they, if they're not generating enough, they're not going to keep scoring at this rate. But there's also like, well, you know what? You create your own luck in this league, and, mindset is part of it and all that. So yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I just think it's a fascinating kind of conversation that isn't something that's talked about enough here as more Florida money right now comes into the market. This is
and the sample size is small too, right? Like why can't you get lucky for like 2 month period? How many goaltenders have we seen, right? Like go on an insane hot streak for these 2 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Aiden Hill won a cup, and now he can't even save a wrist shot from the point from Darnell Nurse, like with no screen. Crazy.
Yeah, yes. I mean, we see it all the time, right? Like you do need to get lucky to win, and that's in like any sport. You do need to get lucky to succeed in life, and that's with anything you do in life, right? So like luck is all part of it, and like I don't think you can be successful without getting lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Without a doubt. All right, sorry, that was just a little. I got us off course there, but I thought it was an important discussion. I thought it was one that I wanted to have. So we will lock in the Leafs here at plus 211, I guess, which might even turn out to be a bad number when all is said and done, because Florida money keeps coming in here, which is, I mean, if you're laying minus 240 on Florida at this point, I would love to talk to those people and see what it is that is getting them on them at this number, because that's crazy. All right. We'll lock in the Leafs here. We'll move on to Dallas and Winnipeg, talking about numbers that have run. This Winnipeg number has run massively all morning since open yesterday. They have basically taken an influx of Jets money. This opened around minus 117-ish. And now we are seeing nothing close to that in the market, up to minus 134 at FanDuel, Stars plus 112, a total of 5.5, minus 122 to the over, plus 100 to the under. I don't know about you, So Money. I think I know where your head is at here. I think we're both coming into this series on the same page in terms of liking the Jets. I think I have kind of taken a step back after game one, whereas you were a bit less discouraged, I guess, and maybe not more encouraged, but less discouraged with what you saw from game one, as I was. I'm guessing you're back on the Jets here, but not at this number, and you were part of the earlier money. Is that correct?
You nailed it. You know me well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they started running too early, and I can't. I mean, we're at into the mid minus 130s. I can't bet the Jets at this number. Yeah, I talked about the Jets yesterday. I'm not as discouraged with them after game one. I think that there was a lot of things in terms of spacing and the way that they had to adjust their play after the St. Louis series. It just took them a while. Again, I'm kicking myself for not looking into that, when that's one of the things that I look for, like stylistically, teams going from one matchup to another. Yeah, I think that there's value on the Stars right now at this number for sure. If you feel that game one, that the Stars didn't play their best game either, and the reason that Winnipeg got going was because the Stars were up in that game and there was some score effects there. If you think that, then there's value on the Stars for you right now. If you think that if you're like me and and you're not as discouraged by game one, unfortunately I think the number's gotten too high, and you'd have to wait for it to come back at this point.
Yeah. Mike Vivian says Moretto to bet the Jets minus 250. Nice try, Mike. Not happening. I am pretty close to firing on Dallas here, honestly. I talked about this. We talked about this yesterday. I didn't love what I saw from Winnipeg. I just don't think they have the same ceiling as this Dallas team. I think the Stars, when they're going, they're going at a rate that the Jets cannot keep up with, and they basically need Hellebuck to be fantastic. But at the other end, Ottinger is fantastic in his own right. So like, really hard. It's really hard for them to find those like marginal edges to win this series, even just win game to game. I do expect a response, obviously, being down 1-0 on home ice here, but like that is priced in and then some, in my opinion, because this Stars team, the way they're playing right now, plus 123 is too big of a number, in my opinion. I think I love what DeBoer's doing too. I was really diving into this rant and stuff because like what we've seen from him over these last few games is like something we've never really seen before. Like, how is he producing at this rate? Especially when you figure like Winnipeg at home, the Avs are at home in Game 6. Like these teams are being able to control the matchups and get who they want out there against Rantanen and against Hintz. And like they're still scoring. Well, DeBoer has done a really good job of deploying Rantanen in different ways. He's not just going out there with Hintz. I was looking at his like line charts and his matchup charts. He's been out there a good amount with Sam Steele. I think he's kind of like DeBoer's forcing coaches into decisions here where like, I'm going to put my fourth line out there, but I'm going to throw Rantanen on the wing with them. And it's like, how are you going to use your shutdown line against the fourth line now? Or like, are you going to then just like how are you going to deploy your guys and counter that? And obviously teams haven't figured that out yet because Rantanen has scored a handful of goals now on the ice with that fourth line. So I think DeBoer's really found a creative way to sort of get him out there and deploy some of his like dangerous offensive players, something that has not been matched yet by Arneal and definitely was not matched by Bednar. So yeah, I think we've just drifted too far here. I don't know if you are okay with us tracking this because you are on Winnipeg. I know it's at a much different number, or if you want to put this down as a head-to-head or what here, but I probably will end up on the Stars at like plus 120 or better, which is out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have different bets, right? So like,
yeah.
Right. So it's like a completely different play. Like I wouldn't go head-to-head at this number though, right? So I think you can track it. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go ahead and track the Stars. Plus 123. I mean, my Jets series prices are probably hanging by a thread at this point. Who knows? It's a long series. A lot can still happen. But yeah, I'm not overly optimistic. Maybe tonight changes things. And again, you have to be pretty reactionary, I think, in this league. Things change in a hurry from game to game, especially in the playoffs. We've seen the ebbs and flows before. Teams that have gone on to win the cup that have looked terrible for games or stretches in series and kind of figure it out quickly. So you do have to be willing to adapt and react. And that is kind of what we're trying to do here as well. All right, let's go into Saturday's games because we have two more on Saturday. To no one's surprise, maybe Carolina big favorites at home for Game 3 against the Caps. Maybe not even as big as I thought they'd be, considering where yesterday closed. I mean,
it'll get there.
Yeah, it'll get there. Right now, Canes minus 192, Caps plus 158, total of 5.5, minus 110 to either side. This is basically the same number we had yesterday with the Caps at home down 1-0 in the series. So, like, I don't understand how it could open at this point. Obviously, we have new information and we saw the Caps play a much better game. So like that is part of it. But like now with the venue switching and the series even, would have expected a much bigger number. I do think it gets much bigger. I'll ask you this too. Where do you think this closes? Because obviously if you want to bet Carolina, bet Carolina everywhere right now. There's minus 188, minus 192, as we saw on FanDuel, like all these prices. Like that is not going to be there tomorrow. There's no way that there's going to be anything there that doesn't start with a 2. The question really is just how high does it go?
I think they're going to break minus 210, and then it's going to get past that, and then I think it's going to settle. It's going to settle at about minus 210. That's where I would expect this to close. I'll be on Washington again. Obviously, I'm going to wait for to time the market entry here, but I will be on Washington again. It's expecting Carolina to win, right? So like similar to like the Leafs Florida game today. Um, I'll be on Washington, but expecting Carolina to win. I think Carolina will respond. It's just that as this series goes on, I think that it's going to get tighter and tighter. And if it does, then I think that's advantage Washington with the way that they play and the way that if they're able to absorb Carolina's relentless pressure. So I think that bodes well for Washington. If it's getting tight, if it's getting to coin flips, give me these plus 170s in a coin flip then, right? I'll take it every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I will be on Washington just waiting for the right time to make my bet there.
I think we'll get plus 180. Honestly, I think we'll see plus 180 at one point for sure. At which point I will get involved too. I don't love them to win the game tomorrow. I definitely think they have a greater chance than the plus 180 would suggest, though, because again, look, we know Carolina struggles to score goals. Again, yesterday, Thompson was very good when the Canes did have that sustained pressure, when they did hand them back. Logan Thompson had the answers. Or again, they're not generating grade A quality looks. It's a lot of like, let's cycle this around, get it back to the point, throw it on the net through traffic, hope for a deflection, hope for a bounce, hope one finds its way through. It's hard to rely on that. Sometimes, the puck goes in a bunch of times in a game like that, and sometimes it doesn't go in at all. And we saw yesterday, and even in game one, the puck wasn't quite going in. Obviously, Slavin's overtime winner was that way, but like they've scored now 3 goals in 2 games in this series. I think they played well, but they're probably, if you had told them they were only going to score 3 goals in those first 2 games, they're probably pretty happy to be tied 1-1 right now, going back to Carolina. So it's just too big of a number. I'll be getting on it as well. I do think the totals now are going to have some values on some of these overs as we go into the Carolina in games into Carolina with Carolina home ice. The way these teams will match up and the way these teams will play and the way Carolina will generate, they're going to be a bit more open. Carolina is going to be able to kind of assert themselves a little bit more. Washington's not going to be able to slow the tempo and slow the game down. I think it's going to lead to some more chances at both ends. So that's something I'll look for as well. I do think the under will probably take a little bit of money here, and maybe we should get an even better price. But look, if we can get like a minus 105 over 5.5, I will be involved. Even on the minus 110s that are out there right now, I'll probably would bet it, but I just want to wait and see a little bit here where this goes to. So that's how we're going to be betting that game tomorrow. I think we can honestly go ahead and probably even track Washington at this point because there's a plus 175 out there, but whatever, we can even do that tomorrow. We should talk about these. We'll monitor and we can track these as we go tomorrow, so you can keep an eye on that BetStamp account as well. Vegas Edmonton taking a little bit of money right now. Game 3 here. They opened just short of minus 120, out to minus 126. Even minus 130s that are out there right now. Still minus 122 on FanDuel, which is the best I'm seeing right now in market. I don't know if you're seeing anything better, but right now I see minus 122 at FanDuel, which is the best price in market. Vegas plus 102, a total of 6.5, minus 128 to the over. An adjustment here on the total as well from games 1 and 2. Can you give me one reason why we shouldn't be betting on the Oilers again? Because I can't, especially at this price. Just because Vegas can't go down 3-0.
Is Vegas going to skate faster?
Yeah. Are they going to get players who are capable of skating faster?
Yeah, no, I think C-Max posting in the chat there, he got minus 122. Yeah, if you're getting under minus 125 right now, go ahead and do it. It's not gonna last. The market's going to make sure that doesn't last. You might see in the morning a little bit of Vegas money, but I would anticipate that gets quickly corrected here. So, Oilers are the side for me. Oilers will be the side for me. It's just a matter of pricing for me at this point. And I mean, like once you get to this point in the season, we know who all these teams are. We know whether or not they can make adjustments or they can't make adjustments, what they need to do, and it's just about pricing. So, if you can get the Oilers early, do it. And I don't anticipate anything different in this game in terms of the way that the Oilers have been playing. Possibly look out for a Pickard's injury, but if he doesn't start Game 3, I don't think it's actually going to move the needle that much, right? So you might see a short-term overreaction to that news, but it's not going to move the needle that much. What's going to move the needle more is if McNabb is injured.
Mhm.
He's You may not see it in the line initially, but in that dressing room and the way that they allocate minutes across that defense, and he's a very important part because his minutes insulate a lot of the tired minutes that come in afterwards with Theodore and Pietrangelo. So McNabb's injury or possible injury would be a lot more impactful for me than if Pickard is hurt and Skinner has to start game 3.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said here. Vegas isn't miraculously getting faster or better overnight. It's only, you know, worse for them matchups wise, and getting Oilers getting their speed guys out there against the kind of the pairings they want to and the slower lines that they want to. Stone looks just off the pace. Eichel just looks off the pace. It just looks like a team that's an aging team that's a little bit gassed right now. They struggle. Like, they have their moments within games where they can tilt the ice a little
Yeah.
bit and can play well, because that is still a very good team. But like, they're just not capable of kind of keeping that up over 60 minutes. It doesn't look like anymore, and that was the case against Minnesota, and now it's just getting even worse here against Edmonton. So yeah, I do like the Oilers here. I will be betting the Oilers here. Some of these early numbers are great. Hopefully some of them stick around. I bet some of it already as well. Hopefully we can get more of it tomorrow still at similar prices. Any value in Oilers sweep here from JH, our resident Oilers fan? I do like the Oilers to sweep. I haven't seen a price. Let me just find a price. Series correct score. Oilers 4-0 is plus 240. So if you're
Plus
gonna be
240.
like, yeah, plus 240. Oilers
Okay,
sweep
so
is plus 240. So like minus 122 right now on FanDuel. Say they win that game. What are they going to be next game? Probably like minus 140-ish in game 4. They'd be at that point, minus 145, kind of in that range.
yeah, so minus 122 right now is 55%, and then minus, let's say inflated. So minus
It'll be a
140
bigger number, yeah.
would be 58.3%, right? So we got here. You guys make me do math early in the morning.
Oh, live on screen. I mean, if you parlay like a minus 122 and a minus 140, you're kind of looking at like a plus 210-ish, plus 200, I think, something like that.
32%. Yeah, there's value on the 240.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you get two, like what my fare would be for a sweep, would be plus 215.
And yeah, plus 240 right now on FanDuel. So
Yes,
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 there
yes.
is
So I think
value in
that's
the
a good
Oilers
bet.
sweep. So we'll give that out as a untracked, I guess, unofficial show best bet here. Thank you for getting me to look at that, JH, because I hadn't looked at that yet. Oilers sweep plus 240. We'll lock that in as well here.
Good job, man. I like
Good,
that.
yeah. Good luck to your Oilers there. I think we both will be rooting them on quite heavily here, all the way. So hopefully this is their year. It does feel like it right now, but obviously things can change in a hurry in this league. So, all right. So that is all 4 games that we have to get to. We locked in the Leafs. We locked in the Stars, courtesy of myself. Nothing so far for Washington, Carolina, but going to eventually end up on the Caps and an over for myself and the Caps for probably both of us here. And then Vegas, Edmonton, we locked in Edmonton now. We will definitely be betting them tomorrow. And yeah, series sweep as well as some Tom Wilson 200-1 con spike. That was everything from today. Do we want to do a quick anytime goal parlay here? 2 games tonight. What do you think?
I was just laughing at Charles's comment there. Yeah.
And roll.
Yeah. So we do have a goal scoring parlay. Our friend Ron is on the road today, but he did send me Adam Lowry
Okay.
at plus 575.
Adam Lowry 575. I like it. Let's do it. Adam Lowry, and then we need someone from the Leafs Florida game. Let's see. Anyone from the chat? Throw some suggestions in. Maybe Charles. Charles, what are you feeling here for your Panthers tonight? Who's going to score for them, or who's going to score against them? I tell you, that Lundell line, plus 410 on Anton Lundell, that line's been really good. Marchand from Daniel here.
Marchand, yeah.
You did just talk about how well he had been playing.
He's the only one going on that team right now.
270. Anyone on the Lundell line? Marchand obviously on the Lundell line. So there's a consensus there. Let's do Marchand. Brad Marchand and Adam Lowry tonight.
All right.
It is a little gross, but
no, you know what? I shouldn't say that because Marchand has actually started growing on me over the years.
He has. You know what? Plays the game the right way. I used to hate him back in the day, but I respect him now.
And he's fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah. 24-1 right there. Adam Lowry, Brad Marchand. That is today's anytime goal parlay. That'll do it for us until Monday. A lot of games over the next few days. A lot of stuff will be decided. We'll have a lot more clarity as to where we stand, or maybe some more uncertainty. Who knows? As to where we stand as we return on Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate everyone for tuning in today. I'm looking forward to these games this weekend and doing absolutely nothing but watching some playoff hockey every night. So Money, thank you as always. We will be back on Monday. I'll talk to you then. Until then, enjoy the games tonight and good luck on your bets.